Hi, welcome to Conversion Conversations. This is Cameron, and today I finally got in some of the Seacons. So for the next month, we're going to be taking a look at what I have of the team so far. And our first member is the leader. Here we have Snaptrap. In Japan, he's called Turtler. And he is a Blastoise-looking boy. I mean, he's on four legs, but he's obviously a mechanical sea turtle with some terrific detail. I'm going to actually go ahead and remove, so here's him with all his bits. What I've enjoyed about the Seacon so far is definitely all their different pieces can be stored on them in different ways. But here he is just, well, we can also take this sword off. There we go. Just the turtle, and we've got a lovely head to look at here that can open and close with a tongue painted in there, which I wasn't expecting, but that looks terrific. He's a very heavy retool of Hun-gurr, which was a re-engineering of Silverbolt. So he does have a very similar transformation scheme. I mean, not in this mode, but in torso mode. We'll just be looking at kind of his robot and alt mode today, and then do the limb and torso modes when we've got all the pieces. But yeah, for an evil mechanical sea turtle that sounds a lot like Megatron, I think he looks awesome. He's got his two big cannons. He does have, unfortunately, some dinky feet up front. They are, decently articulated. They can swivel. They can kind of bend if you want to have him articulating like an Italian. But they are very small, and it fits nicely into his chest during transformation, but I do wish there was a little more robustness here. Other than that, he's got, his shell, his back legs can articulate. They do kind of bump into the back of his shell a little bit if you go extreme, but you've got bend here, you've got some bend at the ankle that you can use before you reveal the fist too much. And then you've got double joint in the neck. And for turtle mode, that's kind of all you've got. But really all he needs to do is stand there and look super pretty for now, because I love that color scheme. And he's going to be combined up for most of his life, I feel. For whatever reason, the Seacons are a combiner team that I see myself... everyone else I kind of flip back and forth, but the Seacons I could see myself... leaving as a combiner for most of their life. But let's go ahead and get him transformed. He is a bit of a parts former, but it's all bits that will go towards his eventual torso mode, and they all have places to go in his robot mode, so I don't mind too much. First thing we're going to do is take off the back shell piece. We're going to remove that, set it aside. So we've got there's a torso bit. We've got 2 feet here, a sword, and a cannon, which we'll all use later. We're going to straighten out these arms, and then we're going to come up top, and we're going to take his head and his little turtle shoulders and separate those from his turtle torso. And for now, we can kind of just leave it dangling for a little bit. Next, we come in and... I traditionally kind of move those over myself, but per the instructions, you can just pop them off because they're going to get reapplied later. They do have a swivel if you want to kind of readjust your angle where they're at. You can absolutely do that. But we'll just take those off and set them aside, flipping the hinges on these ports 180 degrees. And now we can come in and separate out these 2 teal pieces at the front of his shell. There we go. And now that those are separated, these legs can extend out. We flip them 180 at the knee, and then we can come in on the back of the heel and separate that out also. He does have some small feet, which will show off once he's all transformed. Flip the teal pieces back where they were, rotating his entire leg so that it's facing the same direction as his turtle face right now. And we're going to go ahead and lift our camera up just a bit. There we go. And yeah, I mean, he's based off a Combiner's War figure, but he is, I think, a little more complicated in transformation, which I do appreciate. We're going to take this panel that's holding the front face of his turtle. Flip that 180 degrees, and then it comes back, and there's a tab here that connects right back here. That all fits very securely. We do have to move these arms down, and I think the tabs on his shoulders are kind of in the way from it connecting securely right now. We'll flip these shoulder pieces down and get those out of the way. There we go. Then we can come in on his chest piece, flip in his little legs, and it tabs. Let me show that off. There's a tab on that foot that goes into a slot right here, and that all connects very securely. And now that this is one solid piece, this connects very securely up below his neck. Then all you got to do is flip out his hands and come in the back, open up. There's his combiner head. There's two panels back here. You open one up, and that lets you open the second one up to flip out Snaptrap's head. And there is, before we add any pieces back onto him, there is Snaptrap's like basic body mode. Now for his traditional robot mode, he does have cannons back here that we stick on. But the other accessories we can leave off for now while we look through this body mode. And yeah, like I mentioned, he is a remold of Hun-gurr. The parts that I noticed are really these arms. I think everywhere else I couldn't really identify any combined or shared tooling, but the arms are absolutely the same arms. Other than that, I mean, he's got just what is a fantastic head sculpt in there. I love the depth, the silver, the yellow eyes. That looks awesome. Good articulation. He's got all of Hun-gurr and Silverbolt's articulation, which was pretty good for a combiner torso. 180 or 360 at the shoulder, 90-degree bend at the elbow, bicep swivel, no hand articulation, unfortunately. No waist swivel just because that torso is locked in for the combiner. He can do the full splits, and that's necessary for transformation and the way his torso works. He goes deep in his knees, which I like a lot. And then, yeah, his feet are just on the small side for me, but they have good articulation. There's a swivel in the back, so you can adjust that, and then there's also a ball joint. So you kind of get that ankle tilt that we've been so accustomed to in the Siege and War for Cybertron lines, which I really appreciate, kind of not losing that when going back to a Combiner Wars mold. And yeah, he looks awesome. Again, love the Seacons color scheme. The pink and the teal just looks great. And all his accessories we can add on. We can take his shield piece and put it on that elbow like a buckler. We can give that hand a gun, a big old gun. Fit that right here. There we go. We can give this hand a sword, which again makes me wish we had some wrist articulation, just because swords are so nice and posable when they do have wrist articulation. These ports that we moved on the side of his legs, we can stick in some side gun missile pod things. So he can hold everything if you want to store him or pose him in his individual robot mode, which he does look nice and dangerous. He looks like he's a leader of a team. I just can't say enough good things about this guy. Minor complaints about the turtle mode, but I think that's a sacrifice needed for such a cool robot mode. And as we will see in a future video, a really, really cool torso mode, just because this was, in Combiner Wars, this was the best torso mode. Silverbolt and Hun-gurr, it provided the most waist leg articulation, hip articulation. It was the sturdiest. And yeah, he looks really, really cool. So as the first of the Seacons that I was looking at, he sets the bar pretty high, and I'm excited to check out the rest of the team, which we'll see starting next week. So thanks for hanging out, everyone. Thanks again for all the love and support for the channel. And if you haven't already, please throw this video a like. Subscribe if you want to see more. I'm doing all sorts of Transformers and Transformers TCG stuff. It's been 2 years for the channel now, and we're still going strong. Hope everyone stands safe. Have a great one. See ya.